Get ready to experience the best of The Simpsons with 3 more classic episodes. Bart Simpson Edition. From his unforgettable shenanigans to his heartwarming life lessons, Bart was no doubt the breakout star when The Simpsons first hit our screens, so sit back and let's dive in. Number 3. Bart the Daredevil. The episode opens with Bart and Homer watching the commercial for a monster truck rally featuring a giant robotic dinosaur. The rally's grand finale is a daredevil stunt by the legendary world's greatest daredevil, Lance Murdoch, who performs an incredible and dangerous stunt that lands him in the hospital. Despite his first stunt ending in injury, Bart persists and continues to push the limits. He jumps over a swimming pool, animals, and even Homer while he's sleeping, showcasing his fearless spirit. On a class trip to Springfield Gorge, Bart announces that he will be jumping over the gorge. Homer, filled with rage, decides to tackle the gorge himself in a bid to demonstrate to Bart the foolishness of risking one's life for no reason. Bart, afraid of seeing his father to get hurt, retracts his previous statement about wanting to jump the gorge. However, before he knows it, Homer finds himself riding Bart's skateboard down the ramp towards the jump. Homer then becomes airborne, and honestly, for a moment, it did look like he was going to make it.
This is the greatest thrill of my life!
But unfortunately, he ultimately crashes down. Personally, I remember watching this scene when I was younger, thinking it was one of the funniest scenes I've ever witnessed. Whether you're a long-time fan or a newcomer to the show, Bart the Daredevil is sure to leave you entertained, with its themes that are still relevant to today's world, which makes this episode a true Bart Simpson classic. Coming in at number 2, we have Bart the Murderer. It all starts with a stroke of bad luck for Bart, as he crashes his skateboard and ends up stumbling into the legitimate businessman's social club, owned by none other than Fat Tony and his gang, which, if you didn't know, this was the first episode they got introduced. Instead of kicking Bart to the curb, they are soon impressed by his ability to pick winning horses and make excellent Manhattans, and decides to take him under their wing. Bart begins to help Fat Tony, accepts a gift from him, and even hides a stolen cigarette shipment in his bedroom. But things take a dark turn when he's accused of murdering Principal Skinner, and the mobsters start turning on him. The tension builds up to an epic trial scene where Fat Tony and his henchmen lie to the court and claim that Bart is the real mastermind behind the mafia.
Oh, it's true!
When things seem to be at their worst, Skinner bursts into the courtroom with a shocking revelation. In a jaw-dropping moment, Skinner reveals what really happened to him, and Bart's cleared of all charges. Bart then realizes that the life of crime is not for him and decides to leave the mafia for good. Overall, Bart the Murderer is a classic episode of The Simpsons that highlights the dangers of getting involved with the wrong crowd. The episode is filled with humor, suspense, and memorable moments, making it a must-see for fans of the series. Finally, at number 1, we have Itchy and Scratchy the movie. Marge and Homer attend parent-teacher night at Springfield Elementary School. They learn that while Lisa is excelling, Bart is causing trouble in school. Mrs. Krabappel suggests that if Bart turns his life around, he could become a Supreme Court justice. Inspired by this idea, Homer attempts to discipline Bart, but nothing seems to work. The situation escalates when Bart buys a ticket for the highly anticipated Itchy and Scratchy movie. He's left to babysit his little sister Maggie, but becomes distracted by the history of Itchy and Scratchy. This leads to a wild joyride in Homer's car and a prison break that turns Springfield into chaos.
All right, time for a crime spree.
In an attempt to teach Bart a lesson, Homer bans him from ever seeing the movie and tears up his ticket. For the next 2 months, Bart becomes increasingly angry and sad about missing the movie. He tries to watch it secretly, but Homer had instructed the theater staff not to sell him a ticket. Eventually, the Itchy and Scratchy movie is removed from theaters, and Bart reluctantly admits that Homer has won. However, Homer points out that they both won. Basically, by using a tough punishment, Homer taught Bart a valuable lesson about taking responsibility for his actions. 40 years later, they stumble upon the movie playing in the local theater, which Homer decides that Bart has finally learned his lesson. The two watch the movie together, laughing at the cartoon violence, enjoying the moment. This classic episode of The Simpsons has become a fan favorite for its perfect blend of humor, heart, and valuable life lessons. So if you haven't already, I definitely recommend you checking out Itchy and Scratchy the movie to experience the laughs and lessons for yourself. If you want to see 3 more classic Simpsons episodes, click this video right here.